Dead Space movie in development, according to John Carpenter. We are pulling from InsideGaming.com from... Where's the byline in this story? Where's it at? Where's the byline? I can't find it.
I'd have to click on. I think I had to click on the guy's name.
Gotta click on the guy. Grant
Grant
Taylor Hill.
Hill. You know,
right.
Insider Gaming, you should probably put the name.
You probably put the name of the who wrote it on there, but okay.
Yeah.
John Carpenter, legendary film director, may have inadvertently leaked the development of a Dead Space movie in something that could almost be described as a throwaway comment in an interview. Carpenter made a statement that, if read the right way, directly suggests such a project exists. Carpenter, whose work includes the likes of The Fog, Halloween, Escape from New York, is in a cat. No mention of The Thing?
Yeah, that's right.
No mention of The Thing.
Those are all good movies, definitely, but...
And directly, like, you could see a direct line from The Thing to Dead Space. No diss on The Fog and Halloween and Escape from New York. All of those are classics. All right, Halloween, I don't know if it's a great film, but, you know, it's a classic. It's impactful. It moved the culture. But you go back and watch it, and you're like, oh, these are some choices, you know. But Escape from New York is badass. I've never seen The Fog. You have, right?
Yeah, it's very, very good. Like,
yeah, but we are both lovers of The Thing.
Watch it in black and white.
The Fog?
Yeah, it's way better in black and white. Yeah.
Oh, right, because the CGI isn't great.
That's true, but also just stylistically works for the kind of show it is. But as you said, yeah, we both think of The Thing as like some of our favorite movies of all time. I think it's the best horror movie ever created, hands down.
I'm probably right. It's in that conversation for sure. Hereditary would like a word.
It does come in. That's freaking.
Right. And then also, you know, classics such as like Poltergeist and so forth. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I love The Thing. I showed this last holiday season. I showed The Thing to my girlfriend, and she was kind of into it. She was like, "This is cool. This is a neat movie." It was really funny, like watching her, like, because I didn't tell her anything about it. I said it's a horror movie. It's really cool. You're gonna like it. A lot of twists and turns, because she loves the twists and turns and reveals and stuff like that.
Got a lot of those.
And man, that dog. There's like a point where the dog is just like looking out the window, like they just came back from their helicopter flight from the Norwegian group, and the dog is watching them, and she goes, "Oh, there's something wrong with this dog."
That's when it clicked. Let me guess. When she first saw the dog being chased by the helicopter and shot at, she was like, "Oh no, why are they shooting?"
100%.
Yeah. 100%. And then after, I was like, "Wait a minute, maybe this guy's on. Maybe this Norwegian bastard's onto something."
Yeah. Anyways, back to the story here. He'd be perfectly placed to work on a film. John Carpenter would be perfectly placed to work on a film based on one of the most horrific franchises in gaming. But according to him, he certainly isn't up to directing it. But someone else is. Is a Dead Space movie on the way? Recently, there has been so much news regarding live-action adaptations of top-tier All right. In an interview with Variety, when asked if there's any movement on Carpenter directing a possible Dead Space movie, the man himself said, excuse me, quote, "I'm not going to do it. I think they already have another director involved, and they haven't asked me to do it. So until someone asks me, I wouldn't do it. But there's a new version of the Dead Space video game coming out in January, and I'm there." So John Carpenter, legendary director plugged into the inner workings of Hollywood, believes that there's a director involved with a Dead Space movie. It's time to discuss taking something like this with a pinch of salt. But if the statement is to be believed, it could mean that a grisly gore horror movie is on the horizon, and its name is Dead Space. So not a lot to go off of here, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fun story. You know, when movies are in this level of talk, they could live and die just as easily as anything else, you know, in the concept phases of Hollywood. I think Dead Space would make a cool movie. I think you should be pretty damn faithful to it. But at the same time, does Dead Space only work because it's a video game? I don't know. That's a question we should ask. But if they go to John Carpenter with it, but I think John Carpenter doesn't really like directing movies anymore. I think he's preferring to step back nowadays. But it's always fun whenever he pops out and like shows off how much of a video game nerd he is. And Dead Space is a hell of a game to be into, especially if you're a guy like Carpenter.
He likes video games a lot, if you didn't know.
Yeah, he's into it. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see why we would want this, but I don't know if Dead Space is the franchise we want this from. Resident Evil might be tainted in the mainstream Hollywood, zeitgeist, so we would need a different, franchise to dip back into. I think it's time for Silent Hill to come back personally, if we're going live action routes, because that franchise has been quiet, whereas Resident Evil refuses to fucking die. as a fan of Resident Evil, stop making live action Resident Evil.
You love them,
clearly
though,
it's
Tavin.
not going to happen. What?
We love them though.
We love them for the wrong reasons.
It can be made
Oh,
good. It can
man.
be made good. It would be good.
It could, but clearly it's not going to happen.
The TV show failed, so that's it.
Yeah, and then, you know, they list a bunch of other live action stuff that's happening. Last of Us is apparently going to be a hit. I assume it's going to be a hit. Before we even watch the episode, again, review up now live on the channel. Not if you're watching live, come back in a couple of hours and we'll be reviewing that a little later. But yeah, this would be cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the obviously we talked about The Thing earlier because The Thing is very body horror. It's very much a body horror film, and Dead Space is a body horror video game. It's people being corrupted in these, you know, twisted, disgusting-looking aliens, which on its own can be very scary and very effective in a movie if it's done right. Obviously, if it's heavy on the CG, it can be pretty bad, which is the biggest threat this movie has. Practical effects, I think, would do this a big service. This game,
yes,
yeah, which, you know, not very standard nowadays, but it's great.
Have an actor do this. Put giant claws on his things and run around and have a fucked up prosthetic on the face. Oh my god, it'd be so cool.
Yeah, and there's
chopping off arms and limbs and shit.
And there's so much room for like Isaac Clarke's story to be told, but also just to go with the, you know, the fall of the Ishimura. But now there was an anime about that. Wasn't very well received all in all, but you could do something with it. It's a prime real estate to make these crazy horror, you know, experience with a Dead Space movie, because Dead Space is pretty intrinsically, I would say, scary. You know, in the game, it kind of wears off after a certain point when you get used to it, but that's kind of the case with a lot of horror games out there. But it's effective in what it does in the game, so translating that over into movies, I think, is even easier as far as horrors goes. Because, I think it's, well, that's not, never mind. I was thinking, for some reason, I drifted back into the conversation of anime and horror, which usually is not good or scary, and I was going to compare that with video games, but video games typically are very scary when they want to be, but...
I would say, Connor, fucking Resident Evil 2 would like a fucking word with you if you think video games aren't scary.
I was thinking of the Resident Evil Village. Oh god, that, you know what?
Oh,
you know
fuck! Yeah, that sequence. Ooh, the
scared the hell out of
me.
me.
I love it.
Scared the hell out of me
to
this day.
Opening hours of Resident Evil 7 as well. Oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil really just the king of survival horror in the video game landscape, I think, and I think it speaks to. I think Resident Evil even speaks to Dead Space success when you think about it on the grand scale of things. Dead Space obviously inspired by Resident Evil 4. It's been said a million times, even by Glenn Schofield, who co-created Dead Space. And a lot of the influences are seen in the game. You can see them right there. But I think Dead Space only exists because Resident Evil left that conversation. Resident Evil deliberately said, hey, we're going to go the more action adventure campy route and we're going to have fun. And Dead Space filled that void. And for a long time, Dead Space was the only one in that space. You could say survival horror was a bit of a dead space. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, that was awful.
Oh my god. Hey, yeah, as far as puns go, it was good.
No, but like Dead Space, I don't think those video games are like the greatest video games ever made, but they're certainly, you know, classics. Those first two specifically. And they hold a lot of weight in a lot of hearts of a lot of gamers, mine included. And I think it's a cultural movement in gaming that sort of only came to prosper because the genre was so barren at the time. And for a game to be that good, come out in that time, in that space, and fill that void that Resident Evil left us in, yeah, Dead Space is great. And, you know, I think even in the movie way, like in movies, like that type of movie doesn't exist too much anymore. You don't get a lot of like even Saw. Like you don't get Saw anymore.
Yeah.
Really? You don't get, you know, a lot of like just tear them apart, gruesome, gross to look at type movies that much anymore. A lot of it is just psychological now, which I personally love. I love where horror movies are today, but you know, there's space for this too. And I think Dead Space would be an excellent candidate to fill this void once again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very early, and possibly not going to happen. But you know, cool body horror practical effects segments would work. Like I said, work well with Dead Space. And
it'd be so cool.
It would really be cool. The issue is Dead Space. This would be my final point. while like I just said, it could be cool with practical effects if it goes the heavy CG route, if it goes the generic, horror fighting against zombies. Basically, they treat the xenomorphs like zombies. It'll be lame. It's I think it really depends on who heads the project as opposed to the project itself, which obviously is generally the case. Yeah. But with this one even more so, because you really have to. The people who make it really have to capture what Dead Space is. Those confined. I'm assuming it's going to be more like the first one with the confined quarters, the very close, compact space with these incredibly frightening, fast, vicious creatures that can just pounce on you in a single moment. Giving that experience of traversing those Ishimuras into a film experience would be pretty difficult, but if it pays off, I think it'd be a great video game adaptation.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the story of the Ishimura is a great landscape for a film.
Yeah,
a great, quick 90 minutes to 2 hours of like just nonstop thrill ride. Like we're trapped, and it's just like a constant. God damn it! Like again and again. You think of Gravity.
And
how that's just kind of a thrill ride. You put that like that type of pace into a horror scope, and I think it would work great mixed with just some like really disgusting imagery. My thing is like the level of threat. Like the Ishimura is a big thing with a bunch of monsters on it, and I don't think you want that, because then that you very quickly divulge into the zombie horde mentality, and I don't think that's going to work for Dead Space. You want closed, confined quarters, and you want. I feel like there shouldn't be more than one or two monsters on screen at a time.
Yeah. That's
you know what I'm saying?
That would work, and I think that also, going back to the practical effects part, would feed in, make it easier to do that, because if it got too many of them, you wouldn't really be able to do that, and you'd just probably see a CGI mess. If they did that a lot, it wouldn't play out well.
Yeah, and also like it's quickly like the threat is quickly like dissolved in the video game. I think it should take a while for Isaac to figure out that you need to cut the limbs off. Like that shouldn't happen until probably 45 minutes into the movie, where in the video game it's like 10 minutes in, if that.
Because you can't just have him walking around in an action, horror game and just not be able to take part in that element of the game.
Yeah. Whereas like in a movie, like if it was just one thing chasing him for a long time, that would be cool. Or like one thing and it took forever to take him down, and that one thing took out like three of our people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then that would work. But like you don't want like 7 of these motherfuckers in one room. Like that's too much, and then suddenly the audience wouldn't care anymore. If anybody's listening out there, we're giving you gold. Hollywood, listen to us.
I think our opinions are in this regard pretty online with a lot of the good opinions out there as well, alongside it.
I'm saying